Guys, let me talk to you about the way people go into the business of finding customers, like generally in a typical environment like Nigeria. I've seen this a lot in the Nigerian environment, especially in places like Lagos, which I think is extremely unintelligent and extremely inefficient, not just in terms of the use of time, but also in terms of the use of money, resources. And when I talk about resources, I mean in terms of the use of the employees they have, or even their own, you know, uh, personal resources. Now, what am I talking about? Let me give you an example. I am sure this happens in other parts, of course, other parts of the country, but I've seen it a lot in Lagos, and they do it right up to this day. It never ceases to amaze me. And you look at sometimes the amount of money that goes into it. They sometimes even deploy vehicles, and they actually find a way to justify to themselves that it's the right way to go. It makes no sense to me, and I've done the numbers as a person that I've gone through the mill in terms of running around doing pavement pounding to find customers from years ago in 2008, 2009, 2004, 2005 in places like Victoria Land. I went as far as Lekki. I've gone to, whew, I mean, Ikeja, Okpebi, Akoka, Surulere. So I've been everywhere. You know, I just, at that time I was trying to crack the code. I've cracked the code now, of course. That's why I'm doing this series on finding good buyers. But believe me, it took me a long time. But first, one thing I want to say is this issue I'm talking about, the fact that people do these inefficient things, was something that always jumped out at me as being wrong. I always saw it and I always felt this is not the right way to do, because I had tried a little bit of that for some time, and I would go on and off. I'll try it again, because one of the things I try to do is whenever I feel in a particular way about something, I try to test it. So sometimes I've gone back to some things I stopped doing and tested them like 5 years later to see if my thinking about those things, those strategies, was wrong or had maybe needed to change. And I found that I was still right. And that's how I arrived at what I do today in terms of the web marketing system primarily, and then the use of concepts like power positioning, top of mind awareness, and things like that to promote a brand effectively for the long term. That's why those are some of the things I'm going to be talking about in this series. But again, like I said, let me just quickly tidy up in terms of telling you this inefficient strategy people use a lot. And it has to do with, one, the use of flyers. People just go and print flyers and just start running, and they do, oh God Almighty, they devote so much time, energy, and resources, money, to making these flyers. Then they give it to some individuals they employ or they hire, and those ones go to streets, junctions, popular spots, and then just begin to hand it out to every living thing that is moving. That's the way I'll put it. I have been handed flyers that had no business being given to me. No, think about it. Somebody opens a supermarket that is obviously like a hyper mall. All right, you can see that the stuff that's been offering in that place are high profile things that are not the kind of thing the average guy on the street will be able to afford, no matter how much he or she like to look at them. They will keep handing out these flyers. Sir, good morning, sir. Give it to you. The brain needs to be engaged. A lot of thinking needs to be done before marketing action is taken. This is what I see a lot of Nigerians don't want to do. Henry Ford was quoted as saying, thinking is the most exacting job there is, which is why so few people engage in it. I have found that statement to be so true for so many human beings, with a few exceptions. People just do not like to invest time in thinking. And you know what I found out? Many times, if you want to succeed, especially in business, if I any other area of endeavor, but business, let's go, we're talking about business. If you devote good quality time to doing the needed thinking about how you should go about that activity, you will find that a lot of the times you will be able to save a lot of money in the way you eventually go out when you go out to implement your idea. But when you don't want to do the thinking, if you just think, okay, especially when you have the money in your hands, or you have access to the money, you think you have the money, you're likely to do things without thinking them through, and you're likely to spend more money than you should, and ultimately you will find that you get worse, often not the result that are commensurate with the money you spent. So I see people all the time, they do this nonsense. They go and distribute flyers, they keep, and I see religious organizations doing it. Well, those ones is church money they're spending, donation. But when you are a business person, if investors give you the money and you choose to get some staff to do that, you should be flogged. But let me not ramble. Basically what I'm saying is this: it's inefficient. It's not wrong to use flyers, but you have to do some thinking about what kind of flyer to produce in terms of the quality, the size, and all of those. Then what should you say in it? What should be the call to action? There's going to be a call to action. The call to action is what you're going to tell the reader of your flyer to do, because you must have a goal or an outcome you want for that thing you are sending a flyer out for. So that flyer must have a purpose it's meant to achieve, not just people should read about it and know that you exist. No, you must have a goal, an outcome you want to achieve. Typically, every marketing activity should have one primary goal, which is to generate sales leads. And a lead is details about a person that fits your target audience profile, the ideal customer you have in mind. The person should volunteer details about him or herself to you that make it possible for you to then proceed to speak to the person or communicate to the person in order to get him or her to buy. Sometimes that person will just actually pick up the phone and call the number on your flyer. Hopefully you put that there. Send the email to you, or simply come and visit the premises of the business entity that you are marketing. Whatever the case might be, the person will connect with you. So that becomes a lead, a possible buyer. That is your goal. But the thing is, they've got to be pre-qualified leads. You don't want the wrong people making inquiries and then you say, sorry, no, sir, not that kind of thing, sir. You want, so that you don't waste your time attending to people that you don't need, you have no business dealing with. That is why that flyer is supposed to be, the law of thinking should go into it. But what we find out, people just write what they like and then they come onto the streets and start distributing flyers. There's no basis on which to measure the efficiency of that activity, distribution of flyers. So they give out all the flyers are finished. Okay, we don't distribute flyers. Everybody, we're done. Oh, we give out flyers, we distributed flyers, we pasted posters. What were they meant to achieve? How are you measuring results? That's the problem. People don't do that. And that's why I said I find it to be something that's very extremely unintelligent, and a lot of people are doing it. Is there an alternative? Of course, yes. In a separate video following this one, I'll talk about it. I'm just trying to highlight this thing that you should not do under any situation. Instead, stop, spend some time to think, and like I said, work towards having your outcome in which you get leads coming in. Not just you want just send things out and let people know. Like I just say, okay, come and take a look at the guy, take a flyer. You've got to have a goal. You've got to design the content of that marketing item to bring leads to you. Okay, that's one. The other thing they do, which I consider extremely unintelligent, is people just get a vehicle. I've seen this and they tell me it works. They insist it works. I ask them, you've got to do an analysis. You've got to be a business person. What is the return on that investment of your time, effort, and money? This activity, just like the flyer activity, what's the return on that investment? How many customers did you get? There's a rule of thumb in marketing generally that for every 100 customers you talk to, you expect 1 to 3 of them. That's 1 to 3%, right, of the people you talk to will contact you or respond to your marketing message or your marketing communication. 1 to 2, that means for every 100 people you can only expect 1 to 3. So if you want to get 100 responses, you can imagine how many more people you have to talk to or connect with or communicate with. Now, if that is the case, think about when you then decide you want to go out and, like I said, for instance, use a vehicle, get a vehicle, and go and start working up analysis using the microphones, drummers, dancers, put them on the streets and they're doing. How do you gauge? They say, oh, when you do it, people will remember, they'll see you, people will gather around. We are so physical. We are so unwilling to imagine that things can happen without us having direct face-to-face interaction with people. And yet I'm living proof. I've said it before. I can give you examples and examples. Please, if you want to challenge me in the comments. Call me up. I will give you. I'll just get their permission and arrange a phone conversation with people you can talk to. You can check them out on their profile. Once they give me their consent, no problem. And I have a lot of details, recordings, screenshots of email, phone, transcripts of phone conversations, so many of them on my website. I've been doing this for years, but it took me a long time to arrive at this very efficient model I use. But the first step I had to take was, first of all, identify that these things I was doing, like people were doing, I didn't do this noisy one where people were dancing on the street, but I did this flyer thing for a while before I realized that it wasn't. In fact, for many brands, it doesn't work that way. But then even for the brand that it works, like I said, you've got to put in, you must have a desired outcome that you kind of capture, you provide for in the material, which is a call to action. In fact, every marketing message must have a call to action. All right, so they get all these vehicles out, they put people in them, and they start dancing on the street. They say it's you see that they say they are promoting one new thing, they don't want it. They go up and they even give gifts to people. The guys on the streets. When you have a very unsophisticated customer base, when you have an audience of potential buyers who are not discerning, that kind of marketing method probably makes sense. But the truth of the matter is, I've always told people, you can decide to target a higher profile of customers. So the people I'm talking to here in my series are people that have a desire to raise the quality of clientele that they serve. You know that people on the streets, the unsophisticated buyers can also afford it. But you would like to deal more with people that are intelligent buyers. People that you can connect with at a higher level and probably get even higher profit margins from. It makes more sense. You get to do less work and you make more money. So if that is the case, then you want to listen to what I'm saying in terms of the fact that you don't need all that noise. There are people that are selling high ticket items that cost a lot of money. They don't go around on the streets using big vans and making noise on drums and marketing and putting people in t-shirts branded with your company name and making noise all over the place. They say it works. I argue you can get much better results using smarter thinking. Do the thinking first. If you do that activity of noise making, let it be connected to some other activity that enables you to generate again leads that you can follow up. The the primary most important goal for any business marketing activity is sales leads generation. Leads are potential sales. They are information about individuals that might be able to buy your product. The kind of individuals you're looking for. The more of those you get, the more successful your marketing is. Then you now sit down and work those leads till you convert them into sales, into buyers, into paying customers. That is your most important goal as a business person. But many people out here don't understand that they need to have that goal clearly defined and an action plan set up to achieve it. Instead, they just go into the mechanics of running up and down, just doing this thing. Now, let me end by talking about the third thing people do. That's the pavement pounding. Now, there's nothing wrong with pavement pounding as a concept. There's nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's still profitable to do, but it's not necessarily efficient for the most part. But if it is combined with some of the new smart ways of doing marketing, then it becomes a very productive thing. So this third example I'm giving, this third case study, has to do with a lady. You see the photograph, I'll put it there. So I ran into her yesterday. I was just walking past my way to my daughter's school, and I saw her getting down from a bike, and she had on what's it now? Yeah, I think she was wearing I don't know what the way women call this clothes they wear. Anyway, simple outfit. But what struck me about her that really got my attention was the beautifully wrapped cakes. Oh my God, they were so beautiful. And I was so pained when I saw that she had carried all those things on a bike. There were about 4 baskets, right? And she had carried them on a bike and was getting down from the bike right next to Zenith Bank at Beggar. Okay, and I was just walking past to get a bike to take me to my destination. And I saw those baskets on the ground. I saw her carry one of them and walk right into the bank premises. So clearly, because when she walked in, she even greeted the staff. So clearly she was known there. In the sense that, okay, at least it wasn't like a first time visit. She had to explain herself. Apparently she had customers there. And if you think about it, they were not likely to be the junior customers manning the gates. They are more likely to be management staff. So in other words, she had senior members of the organization of that stature as her buyers. And then I looked at the floor. She had the bike man waiting for her. The guy was actually waiting. Those other things on the ground next to the bank. And I said to myself, my God. Because you see, she's going to be paying for that bike rider's time. This is Lagos, it's not Benin, it's not Cotonou. This is Lagos. So she's going to be paying for that buyer's time that biker's time to wait with those things while she goes in to deliver whatever number of her beautiful cakes she's delivering. They're not small cakes, they're actually big cakes. Now, then she will come out, right, and go to the next stop and deliver. My hope for her is that I hope those were orders that were placed, and they're not just maybe one or two orders, they were probably a lot. But I argue that there can be a more efficient way to do this. So what my point is, you get it four baskets, they're going up and down. What stops you, since they're already buyers, what stops you from doing the thinking about how you can get those buyers on whatever interval you are buying from? Get their contact details and then take advantage of PC and internet and phone technology to communicate to them offers that will make them decide to buy from you in a different way, that reduces the need for you to go into that physical, very manual mode of selling. Whether you're marketing or you are selling, anytime you have to move around physically carrying your products to the people that are going to buy it in a place that is very unfriendly in terms of transportation, you're not doing well, because that limits your potential in terms of who you can sell to at any point in time. If you change that model to one that allows you to reach out to a larger number of people in a manner that enables them to probably get those products from you without having you bring it to them all the time on a frequent level, or for you in a way that allows them to come and pick it up from you, you begin to increase your reach and impact in terms of marketing and sales. What stops her from changing the way she sells in a way that makes it possible for those people to get what they want in terms of price, but she will also get what she wants in terms of less effort, less time, less resources to get to them? Then she can serve a larger number of people. Because there's no way you can go around on a bike that it's not eating to your profit margins as a person selling cakes. There's only so much money you can put on top of it before somebody starts telling you, oh, Mrs. So-and-so is selling cakes like this. So when you're dealing with a person like me, I sell digital products, so my cost levels are so low. You can imagine. I have almost close to zero costs for the most part for most of my products. But when you're dealing with a product in which you spend a lot of money to produce it, and then you still have to incur such expenses to go and sell it, your margins are diminishing. Even your use of time to get larger sales is going to be limited because you are physically moving around to do this. There's only so much you can do. So the thinking is so critical, but people always tend to ignore that. And it's also always when they do that, it's to their disadvantage. So the challenge to you in this video is, like I said, first of all, before you go out to do any selling, do the thinking first, do the planning, do the strategizing. How do you go about that? I'll talk to you about it in the next video. Now, please note, the previous video was about the spirituality, okay? And I was going to talk to you about 9 other quotes from the Science of Getting Rich book. I will still do that particular edition of the video. That's like a follow-up to the video. But I wanted to bring this in because I felt I needed to give you also some very practical examples of the mental process that people follow in trying to sell, that they will need to make changes to if they want to succeed in doing marketing, in using the strategies I am recommending. Right, so I will do that. And there will actually be 2 videos following this, and those 2 videos will be first the video about the Science of Getting Rich quotations, and the second will be the video in which I'll give you examples to kind of just tell you the approach you can use, right, to think up the appropriate strategy to help yourself sell better. All right. But like I said before, your goal must always be to generate. That's your most important goal as a marketer. You must be aiming to get sales leads. The higher the number and the better the quality of the leads you are getting, the more successful your marketing is, because it's going to translate to more sales. If you're not doing that, if you're not generating leads from your sales, quality leads, not just idiotic inquiries, quality leads, if you're not doing that, you're wasting your time.